Hey everyone, it's Sherlock from TechMaster Academy, and today we're taking a look at installing a WordPress website on your hosting service. The hosting service of my choice has been HostGator. Now, whichever hosting provider that you're using, it makes no difference. Just make sure that the hosting provider is giving you a cPanel option. I know that these days there are not many hosting providers that are lacking that feature, but if you are using a service that is not offering you cPanel, I do recommend you to change your hosting company as soon as possible. So without further ado, let's get going. First, go ahead and click Launch cPanel to start your control panel. Now, given whether it is your first domain or it's your add-on domain, there are different ways to go around it, but the easiest would be basically on your cPanel going to the domain section. In this case, because I'm adding this as my third website in this hosting service, I'm going on add-on domains. Now, a lot of questions might come up that, okay, I do not have my domain on my hosting service currently. Does that matter? No, not really, because what we are creating is only on your hosting service and is not necessarily connected to your domain. After we have installed WordPress successfully, we're going to go to another location where I'm hosting, where I'm actually keeping my domain and change the DNS settings to direct basically the domain to this location. So the domain name that I'm going to use for this example belongs to a friend of mine. So I'm going with momoody.com, which is the domain my friend has chosen for himself. But you see that once I clicked on the blank area, it auto-populated the subdomain and the document root. You have the option to create an FTP account with this domain, separating it from your other domains. This would be good for people who are doing a little bit of maintenance on their own FTP clients on their desktop computers. But if you are trying to keep it simple, just to do everything on your own hosting service website, then you don't really need to do that. Now we are ready to add the domain. This will take a second. And there you go, the add-on domain momoody.com has been created. What we can do at this stage is to basically take a look at our installation. If you would like to redirect this domain later to another location, you can do that from here. Again, depending on the hosting service that you're using, there are many different options that you may have, but these are basically the most basic setup that you can be using for your website. Now that we have added our add-on domain, let's go back because we want to install WordPress. Different cPanel designers provide different options for WordPress. Now, just like any other, HostGator is giving me a WordPress installer, but I'd rather go with the more traditional Softaculous software that helps me install anything I want. Softaculous is basically a free source group of softwares that are provided by hosting services for our users to go ahead and install different custom or content management systems and so on and so forth. So I'm going to click WordPress and I can go ahead and start installing. I want to make sure that I'm installing it in the correct location. So that's why I'm selecting Softaculous, because it basically goes step by step and shows all the other installations that you have as well, and if you need to update them, and many other options. So I'm going to click install now. It says choose the version you want to install, the version of the WordPress. Why would you select an older version? Well, that would really depend on the tools that you're using. There may be plugins that you're using that are very essential to your business, but they do not basically have a more up-to-date version that is compatible with the latest versions of WordPress. So you might decide to install an older version so that the plugins that you need run smoothly. In this case, I don't have such plugins, so I'm going to go with the most recent. It's asking me whether I want to install it under an HTTP or HTTPS. Now that depends if I have an SSL certificate installed on my domain. Now, considering that my domain is not really connected to this installation yet, I'm going to start with HTTP, and then when my DNS population has been completed and I have installed my SSL certificate, I can go ahead and change that to HTTPS. In the directory section, basically, you can add an extension where the website is installed. Most people don't want to do that, basically, because what that does is that, in this case, if I want to install momoody.com, which I'm selecting here, right now, as it is, this will mean that when people enter momoody.com onto their browsers, they're going to come to this website. But if I want to install it inside another directory such as momoody.com/home, now everybody will have to enter momoody.com/home in their browsers in order to access the website. So I'm going to leave that alone for now. Site name and site description are both very easy to modify inside WordPress, so we're going to leave that alone for now. But if you'd like, obviously you can write the name of your website, such as Moody, and the description, let's say The Rock Legend. Now this is basically a prank we're pulling on a friend, so please don't take it seriously and don't let him know. The admin account that you're creating can have its own username, password, and email address. And in this case, I'm going to use Moody admin. I'm going to select the password. Now you can always ask WordPress later to generate a strong password for you, so when you're installing it, it doesn't really matter what you're calling it. So I'm just going to select the password on my own. And the admin email, in this case, because I am being the admin for this website, I'm going to use my own admin email, which is the admin@sketchbros.com from our web design company. The language that you want the installation to be under, and certain plugins that different software keyless versions allow you to install while installing your WordPress. In this case, I have the option of limit login attempt. So this is very good for, basically as an anti-spam protection shield for you. Classic editor. Now, pretty much all WordPress versions come with that, so you don't really need to install it anymore. And also a manage multiple WordPress WP Central. Now, there is an option of doing multi-sites on one WordPress installation. We will get to that on a different video, but for now, we're going to leave this alone. Under advanced options, there are options that we can do mainly here on auto upgrade to select whether we want the WordPress to upgrade automatically to the newer version that come. The options are do not auto upgrade, upgrade to minor versions only, upgrade to any latest version available, major as well as minor. I'm going to click upgrade to minor versions only, just in case there is a huge change in WordPress that might break some websites. We don't want that to happen automatically. So this gives us a little bit of time to study the features that the new WordPress version has, and also the softwares that we are using, and see if they're compatible and they can run smoothly. And is it recommended to click auto upgrade WordPress plugins? Not really, and again, because of the reason that of compatibility, there are certain upgrades that come to plugins that do not match the PHP version on your server, and what that brings out is something called the famous fatal error. Basically, it's the death of your server, and the only way would be to log into your server and delete that plugin from the files of your website and then proceed. So I personally leave that alone. If you would like to use, well, use with discretion. And finally, if you want to upgrade your WordPress themes automatically, you can go ahead and select that. I personally do not really do that. You can, again, in this case, on software keyless version that we have here on HostGator, we can select certain themes to be installed while we are basically installing this WordPress version. I'm not going to need that because I personally use Divi. Now we will get to installing themes and customizing those in the next video. Final option here, email installation details too. Yes, I would like to have that at my admin@sketchbrosemail.com, so I don't need to look for my username, password, and anything else. Let's check one last time, and if it's all good, we can go ahead and click install. This will take a quick second. And after a short wait, you get this message: congratulations, the software was installed successfully. Now, Immediately, most people get excited and say, hey, let me go ahead and test that there's a good chance that we do not get an active page because our domain is not connected here. So if that happens, don't panic. It is completely normal. Now that we have done this successfully, we want to go ahead, find our domain and connect it to this installation. By the way, while you're at it, in Softakeylist, you can check the other installations that you have to see if they are up to speed or if they need to be updated. Like right now, as you can see, the Mo Moody website that we have installed is running version 5.5.1, but Techmaster Academy website is running version 5.4.2, and I can basically go ahead and log in later and update this, or I can update this from here manually. Now let's go to find our domain in the GoDaddy. That's basically where I'm keeping that domain, and link it here. To do so, we need to go back to our cPanel. So I can do that from Softakeylist as well. When you check your cPanel, you are going to find your primary name server and your secondary name server. That's what exactly you need in order to point the domain to this installation. So our domain is on godaddy.com. I'm going to quickly sign in. Now, so far, this domain, Mo Moody, was being directed to a page on one other website. That is why if I go to DNS settings, I see this forwarding. What I can do is to basically remove this completely. And there you go, delete, and now it's not forwarding anymore. Next, what we need to do is to go to name server section, click change, enter my own name servers. Now, if you take a look at this, you can see name server 1 and 2. I'm going back here. I'm going to take primary name server and drop it in name server 1 field. You see, this is NS6075. I have NS6076, which is our secondary name server, as you can see here. Because I have done this before on another domain, it's auto-populating here. Just make sure they're correct values and then click save. You can see that every basically provider of domain sales services tries to keep your DNS with themselves so that there's a higher chance of you purchasing other services from them, such as hosting. Now, that is why they always ask you, are you sure? Do you want to do that? But it also is because if you change your DNS by accident, your website is going to go down immediately and nobody can access your website anymore unless they have the IP address of your website. So it says name server update, momoody.com, changing name servers is risky, so on and so forth. Yes, I do consent. Thank you very much. And as you can see, it says features may be unavailable while we process your updates. This will take a while. Now, naturally, on different hosting services is different, but if you refresh your page, there is a good chance that you do not get that anymore. You see that now my name servers have been updated to HostGator successfully, and here we can read records. We can display your DNS information because your name servers aren't managed by us, and that is a message from GoDaddy, and that is true. They are not managing this DNS anymore. Now, what happens if I go ahead and enter momoody.com in my browser right now? Most probably it will not go anywhere because DNS propagation takes up to 48 hours. So please be patient. And if you have a last minute project, I do not recommend you really to change a DNS setting. The best way you can go around this is to basically go and create a local URL for your website on your hosting and then direct or basically redirect your domain to that location for that short time. But if you have time to do this properly, then go ahead and change your DNS setting and point it to the correct location. Now, there are many different tools you can use to make sure that the propagation happens and at what speed is happening. Such tool could be, if I can find it here, DNS checker. What's my DNS.net. You can go ahead and enter your Domain name, we want to track A records just to see where it has been populated. Considering that we changed the DNS only a minute ago, I'm sure that this has not been propagated at all, so it will show everything normal. But if we check it in an hour, we're going to see X red crosses all over the place saying that our DNS is not working properly. We see that already in 2 locations. Well, things were not responsive as fast as they would have been before. There we go. That is the first place, Auckland, New Zealand, that has recognized a change of DNS, and this will take some time so that until the whole map goes red and then goes green one more time, showing that that now is directing to our new hosting service. So guys, this is how you install a WordPress on an add-on domain, how you change your DNS setting to point your domain to the correct location. And if you have other ideas, please leave it in the comments for us so we can go ahead and record that video for you.